A diva is a state of mind. A diva is a baddie. A diva is what every single one of us aspires to be at our true core. Oh, sorry, 1 second. My manager's calling me. Hello? They called me a what? I'm LunaSeranova, and you're listening to the Good Witch, Bad Bitch podcast. Let's take it one step back. Where did this controversial label even come from? Who was the first diva, and what the hell did she do to earn that title? Let's take it all the way back to ancient Rome, where divas have a pretty honorable beginning. Divine, deity, goddess. Diva is the literal Latin word for goddess. Quite frankly, if you ask me, it is no surprise that something originating from the divine feminine would be bastardized into a pejorative under the patriarchy. See History on Friday the 13th for more on that. Later, diva would transform into something deeply intertwined with the entertainment industry as opera gained popularity in the 19th century. Enter stage left, the quintessential leading lady, the prima donna. These were the OG icons. After centuries of women being left out of the performing arts, to be fair, our first actresses entered this scene mid-17th century, though largely uncredited. Even though theater had been alive and well for many years, they had people gender-bending these roles because they didn't want to see a woman on stage. Can you believe it? I can. So now, opera takes off. Mid-19th century. Women are not only being allowed on stage, they are being celebrated. They are being worshipped. These prima donnas were the OG influencers, icons, celebrities, you name it. Welsh National Opera notes that this term flew in after the realization that these prima donnas gleamed on stage and, quote, became goddess-like in the eyes of their adoring public. These divas were highly respected and honored in their talent and persona. Audience members didn't come to the opera house for the male actors. They came for the leading lady. They came for the prima donna. Spoiled, egoic, dramatic bitch. Diva is the way your producer calls you a cunt without the backlash. So, how does a term historically honoring successful and talented women devolve into a misogynistic slur? Somewhere along the line, us women asked for too much. Better pay, safer standards on set, protection against sexual harassment from our male counterparts. Perhaps it was the fact that the prima donna overshadowed the men. Perhaps that overwhelming success became too much for the fragile male ego. The actress must be humbled. Be smaller. Be less needy. Go with the flow. Don't be dramatic. Be grateful you're even getting paid at all. Be thankful for the opportunity. Oh my God, it was just a joke. You're so sensitive. You're too loud. You're too much. Yeah, you're talented, but we can't let you get too big ahead. The male artist is big. He's obscure and method. Actors are quirky. So we deal with his muchness because he's an artist and he needs his protein. PA, go on a run. We need to get him protein powder ASAP. Of course his day rate is high. He's a businessman. He knows how to negotiate. He's talented and handsome. Oh, and he has a big following too. Yeah, sometimes he makes comments that make the women on set uncomfortable, but oh my God, have you seen his abs? Oh, that's gonna sell. For sure. Get him anything he wants, okay? He's so direct, and he knows his boundaries. That's respectable. A woman who expresses her boundaries and what she needs to be successful on set or in life is a diva. A man who does the same, quote, knows what he wants. When your male producer gets mad that a boundary you set won't let him exploit your labor or your body, he calls you a diva instead of a spoiled bitch. And there's nothing the non-existent HR can do about it. Better yet, if there is HR, he's probably it. Or worse, he'll put you on the blacklist. The ever-present, ever-looming threat to keep you subservient. Are there derogatory divas on set? Absolutely. People suck in every industry. However, most people actively working in professional sets will attest to the fact that it is not typically the women on set being the divas. A great man is an average woman. And we know that any pushback we give may get us labeled as hard to work with, while our male counterparts are free to express concerns and boundaries without fear. A successful, talented woman is a threat. A successful, talented woman who knows it is detrimental to an industry that is built by the patriarchy to exploit successful, talented women. So what gets a man on the blacklist? Sexual harassment, sexual assault, pretending to have COVID to get out of a contract, chronically showing up late, unprepared, not knowing his lines, costing production significant monetary damages, etc. You know, the normal stuff. What gets a woman on the blacklist? I asked a couple of my friends in the industry. Let's see what got them on the infamous list. Kyra Wisely, one of the top influential voices in the vertical space, tells me of a time she flew into town and Ubered straight to set to find production handing out coffee to the crew. Exhausted and facing a likely 12-hour day ahead of her, she asked, "Do you think you can order some Starbucks for the cast as well?" Months later, an AD on set tells her how great she is to work with. And they just couldn't believe Kyra was on the blacklist. Kyra said, "Girl, what? Her offense, as listed?" Quote, "Demands Starbucks every single day." On one set I was leading... On one set I was leading, my male co-star would only drink chilled spring water. So production had a big case of spring waters chilled in the fridge that was just for him. No one could have it. To be fair, I do believe he's on the blacklist, not for his demanding drinking habits, but for sexual harassment. Another crazily common reason for having your name blasted on the blacklist is for negotiating your day rate. This may be a good time to mention that male leads in this industry typically make a third to double the day rate as the leading actress, despite the female lead typically being number one on the call sheet, meaning she is in the majority of the scenes, has the most lines, and often is having to depict pretty intense situations such as sexual assault, sexual harassment, violence, and intense intimacy. Other actresses tell me of experiences of being offered a role and stating that they would like to read the script before signing. If the actress does not feel comfortable with the script and turns down the role, she may be labeled as, quote, "queen of dropping out." Yes, that is a real quote from a real production company. Actresses often face unsafe situations on set as many low-budget, non-union production companies fail to provide intimacy coordinators and stunt coordinators. I recently worked on a project, where I was asked to be slapped while standing so hard that I fell onto the concrete sidewalk while in a mini dress. When I asked the stunt coordinator, who also happened to be our producer, if I could have a fall mat, I was told, "Oh, we forgot them. Sorry." So do we just dissociate and get it over with, or push back and potentially face the blacklist? Another colleague of mine tells me of a time she was hit in the face, actually, during a stunt gone wrong. And when she went to the bathroom to check her face, the camera crew went on to tell everyone how much she was holding up filming. A different actress tells me of a time when she was hit so hard that a fake earring she was wearing actually pierced through her ear. The director allegedly told casting that the actress held up filming for how long she was crying. There are countless stories of what makes us a diva. Asking for a moment to drink water while on a 12-hour day may make you needy. Having a hard out makes you difficult. Asking for comparable pay to your male counterpart makes you greedy. Stating an intimacy boundary or wardrobe boundary for modesty makes you hard to work with. So it seems this exploration has led to a quite simple discovery. Being a woman and setting a boundary or stating a basic need can be all it takes to get you labeled as a diva. But wait, is it not so darkly poetic that under the patriarchy, a woman who is strict about her needs is labeled as both a goddess and a bitch? Perhaps we can find some sort of empowerment in the term. I mean, it seems we're in good company. Both Madonna and Mariah Carey have been labeled as, quote, the ultimate diva, unquote. Other icons such as Aretha Franklin, Ariana Grande, Beyonce, Cher, Christina Aguilera, Diana Ross, Tina Turner, and Whitney Houston have all been given the divine title. Perhaps we need to not only reclaim, but embrace the title. If we know that we are entering an industry that profits off of our body and voices, we know how valuable we are to them. Perhaps we can have a little bit of diva energy to protect ourselves. At the end of the day, our body is our tool. So maybe if we need to demand a coffee to get us through another 14-hour day, maybe that's not such a bad thing. As the Queen Beyoncé once said in her 2008 album, I Am ... Sasha Fierce, a diva is a female version of a hustler. Mariah Carey also once eloquently said on Meghan Markle's podcast that being called a diva means, quote, you're a successful woman, end quote, but also, quote, a bitch, and that it's, quote, okay for you to be a boss, end quote. And that's exactly what I want to leave you divas with today. It's okay for you to be a boss. It is okay for you to match the level of direct boundary setting that your male counterparts do in the entertainment industry or in the office. We live in a world that will absolutely take advantage of us if we let it. And many of us have male bosses who are conditioned to believe that a woman demanding respect and equal conditions to a male counterpart is just a diva. As artists and creatives, I know we love our jobs. I love being able to follow my dreams and play dress up with a group of like-minded creatives. And it is because of my love for this industry and this work that I believe it is important we speak loudly and confidently about this. Because I believe there is a world where all artists can be respected and taken care of. And our art will only grow better and better because of it. Yes, you will likely be labeled a diva if you stand up to the patriarchy. But you're in good company. If you like this discussion, make sure to subscribe to my Patreon, where this was originally posted as a Patreon-only essay. Follow for more discussions like this and to support my work. Diva is a female version of a hustler, Brrr. Stay bad, baddies. Stay bad, baddies. And don't let a man say shit. Okay? Mwah. See you guys next time. Bye! How the fuck do you close this thing? God. Oh no. Oh no. Oh God. That's why you have to be delicate with beautiful things. Let me get these fuck ass glasses off of me. If you enjoyed this episode, I would encourage you to stick around. I've got a ton more content here on the podcast and over on my YouTube under my name, LunaSeranova. Make sure to follow this podcast to stay posted on all future episodes, and follow me on Instagram and everywhere else at LunaSeranova to stay up to date on what weird shit I am getting myself into. If you'd like to share your support in a super easy and free way, you can actually rate this podcast. Yep, 5 stars, bitch. And if you want to connect to some online witchy besties, check out my Moon Fam on Patreon. There's a few different tier levels. There's a few things happening on there like book club and a community tea party every full moon. So there's a ton of stuff to do on there, and most of all, a ton of really cool people. Community is so important, and I would love to see you there. Other than that, I'll see you next time. Keep being a bad bitch and keep being a good witch. Love you. Mwah.